At the beginning of the film, we see a man who is captured by a monster. He has a chain around his neck and he was finding something in the mud. Seeing him, it was clear that whatever he was looking for could save his life. The next moment, a loud voice comes. As soon as the man listens to the sound, he dies in agony. Then the monster takes him with him dragging. Later, we see a girl named Kathy, who lives in a small town and is an officer. She approaches a man in jail and stops him from wrongdoings, which he was doing along with the other boy. Kathy stops him from doing this, but the boy attacks her. Kathy forbids him not to do evil deeds. Meanwhile, Kathy's husband comes. He is an officer like Kathy. He takes the man with him. Later, we're informed about Kathy's life and she lives separately from her husband. Kathy had a small son who often lives with her, but she used to be busy because of her job. That's why she leaves him with her husband. Kathy's husband lives with his second wife who was pregnant. She is nice and considers Kathy's son as her own child. Now, Kathy goes to her office and her head is bandaging her, because she has an injury because of the boy's attack. Meanwhile, an officer girl comes and tells them that a girl named Mary has been released after 20 years. She used to be known as the Bloody Mary in the town. Kathy's boss tells her about her story. Mary's husband was about to burn her into the fire. That's when she killed her husband with the brick and was sentenced to imprisonment for 20 years. Kathy's boss wants to say that Mary isn't a bad woman. After hearing the whole story, Kathy goes to Mary's house. On the way, she meets with two children who were searching for a witch. Kathy asks, "What are you doing here, children? Go to your houses, you know this isn't a safe area." After saying this, Kathy leaves. We see the monster had kept an eye on the children. Kathy comes to Mary's house, ties something to her feet and says, "You can't go anywhere now. I've been sent here for your investigation." Mary tells her when she was sentenced to jail, she was pregnant. Then when her child was born, he was given to another family. Kathy leaves after talking to Mary. She takes her son from her husband's house and spends time with him. On the other side, it is night now and the children Kathy saw were still roaming in the jungle. They reached Mary's house. Meanwhile, someone was still keeping an eye on them, and captured them. Here Kathy researches Mary's case at her house. She learns that Mary first used to worship the devil. Along with this, she learns about the children's sacrifice and about a strange man. He was found in the moss that was near Mary's house. These things were also mentioned in her case. This was about the same strange man, the monster we saw at the beginning of the story. Meanwhile, Kathy's son comes to her whose health was unstable. Kathy goes to her son after leaving everything. Kathy's husband gets a call and he is informed about the missing of the same two children, who were seen by Kathy. He goes to Mary's house to inquire about those children. He was suspicious of Mary because of the rumors spread about her in the town. He searches her house and he finds strange things. After seeing them, it appears that black magic is practiced there. Kathy's husband doesn't understand anything. He does not get any evidence about Mary being guilty, so he leaves from there. In the morning, the whole team including Mary searches for two children. Kathy's boss tells her that the stories about Bloody Mary aren't baseless. Kathy does not believe this because she thinks that Mary has been improved. While searching for the children, Kathy sees that Mary is quite away from her house. Kathy follows her and finally comes to her. She says to her, "Mary, I've forbidden you to leave your house." Mary says this is her dad's house and she came here to spend some time here. Kathy goes to drop her at her house. On the way, Mary asks many questions about her life, like marriage, and children, but Kathy doesn't pay much attention to her and leaves from there. On the other hand, the team doesn't find the children in the jungle. Instead they find a dead body of a man. It is the dead body of the man that was seen with the strange monster at the start of the film. There, Kathy's husband finds a few wooden items, quite similar to what he saw at Mary's house. Kathy still can't believe that this all could be done by Mary. At night, Mary goes to her child. Actually, she told Kathy a lie that her child was taken away from her. Mary's child was with her. Her son has captured the two children whom Kathy saw in the jungle. Mary was about to do black magic on the children. Mary kills the children. The next day, the team finds the dead bodies of the children. They were laid in a shape, and the wooden items were also placed near them. They all become quite worried after the death of the children. When Kathy's boss goes to the children's house, their parents become quite angry at him. And they accuse Mary for everything. They say everything has been destroyed since she came to our town and she is responsible for the death of our children. Along with the parents of the children, all the townsmen go to kill Mary because everyone has to save their families. Everyone is at Mary's house, then Kathy and her husband reach there and they take people away from there. Kathy's husband tells her that he has doubts about Mary. She has killed them, but Kathy still does not believe it. Kathy goes to meet Mary where she finds a bucket filled with blood. Suddenly a strange man attacks her from behind and Kathy becomes unconscious. Mary ties her up and keeps her. Her son is also involved in this. Mary tells Kathy, "Yes, I killed the children. I can also tell how." After putting chains around Kathy's neck, Mary takes her to the same place, where the swamp was, which we saw at the beginning of the film. Her son is also there with her. Mary asks Kathy to find a mandrake here. Now, Kathy has no choice, so she starts searching for the mandrake from the ground. Actually, mandrake is a root that is used in witchcraft and black magic. This root is similar to the deer's face. It really exists in a muddy and swampy area. It is used for immortality in black magic, and to fix anything. When she finds mandrake, she brings Kathy to her house and gets her ready after giving her a bath. Later, they perform black magic with mandrake. Mary makes juice with it. She drinks it first and then makes her son drink. They want to live forever. They give juice to Kathy as well. Kathy has a dream in which she sees herself as Mandrake's mom. Along with this, she sees the strange-shaped monster. Kathy becomes afraid to see this, and she wakes up from sleep. She sees her foot's injury was also recovered. It means there were some magical powers in that juice. Kathy is roaming in the whole house, but does not see Mary and her son anywhere. Kathy finds her phone and immediately calls the man whom we saw at the start of the film, whom she was stopping him from wrongdoings. Meanwhile, Mary and her son come. They capture Kathy, and in the meantime, the jar of juice falls. Mary's son cries a lot. Mary calms him down and locks Kathy in a room. On the other hand, the boy goes to Kathy's husband, and tells that he received Kathy's call. He says she is in danger, but Kathy's husband doesn't believe in any of his words and goes to the house of that man whom we saw at the start of the film. When Kathy's husband goes into the house, he finds many witchcraft items, mandrake, and evidence against Mary's son. He understands that Mary is behind it all. He tells his boss about this all and goes toward Mary's house. It means the man we saw at the start of the film who had a chain around his neck like Kathy, he was also finding mandrake. He might not have found it on time and he died because of its sound. There Kathy somehow frees herself. Kathy's son, who was with Kathy's husband's second wife, disappears suddenly. He seems to have been captured by the strange man because it was necessary to kill a child before the black magic of mandrake. We come to know that Mary first kills the children and sacrifices them. Then, she brings any of the men like the man from the film's beginning, then Kathy, who brings mandrake from the swamp for her. For this reason, she was called the Bloody Mary. Kathy's husband comes to Mary's house. He asks about Mary. Suddenly, his boss attacks him from behind. Then Mary, and he both kill Kathy's husband together. This boss had narrated the wrong stories about Mary to Kathy. Probably the story of Mary's lover that Kathy's boss told her was about himself. He was Mary's lover. Kathy has learned everything, but she can't do anything right now. She runs towards the jungle, and sees a strange monster there, who was taking her son with him. She attacks him from behind and she beats that monster a lot. He falls down and we come to know that he isn't any monster but Mary's son who has worn the monster's dress. The monster we saw at the start of the film wasn't a monster, but Mary's son. After beating him, Kathy saves her son. On the other hand, Kathy's husband's boss was with Mary. He was the same boy 20 years ago, for Mary killed her husband. Mary kills the boss and says, "Now you've been weaker, and useless for me." 20 years ago, this boss used to kidnap children by wearing the monster's suit. All the townsmen get to know that Mary and her son are behind everything. They find Mary's son in injured condition. They hang him and kill him. Then they go to find Mary, and they learn that Mary has fled, and Kathy has saved her son. On the other side, it is shown that Kathy is with her son in the house. She sees the Mandrake there and becomes quite worried after seeing it. Later, someone starts to knock at the door, and when she opens the door, he was the same boy whom Kathy stopped from wrongdoings. He comes here in her worry and probably begins to like her. At the end of the film, it is shown that Kathy meets her husband's second wife, who has a son, and on the other side, Mary, who has gone too far now. No one knows where she has gone. After Mary's departure, in the town, the children's missing, their murder, everything was resolved. Kathy was with her husband's son, and Mary, who has gone too far, was having a big black magic, and Kathy also feels this. Because of that Mandrake juice, Kathy too has some powers inside. She is able to sense her powers. Now, will Kathy do the big black magic that Kathy has to face? The film ends with this.